We're talking about the shocking truth about Zach LaVine. We're going to be talking about a recent Bleacher Report that suggests that the Chicago Bulls should hang on to Zach LaVine. We're going to be talking about why it might be smart for the Chicago Bulls to hang on to Zach LaVine a little bit longer and what this means for the Chicago Bulls. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And today we're looking at a report by Zach Buckley talking about why the Chicago Bulls should in fact hold on to Zach LaVine. And so here is this article that you can find on Bleacher Report making the case for NBA teams to keep their prized trade block stars. Some of those stars on the list were Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle for the Knicks, and Trae Young. So they were talking about a bunch of players out there that a lot of trade rumors have really swirled around. And so obviously Zach LaVine made the list. But going into what was said, I want to start with my points. First and foremost, I think the Chicago Bulls need to hold on to Zach LaVine because of, the front office. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think that this front office will eventually mess up the deal if they move Zach LaVine. And this goes into a little bit of my second point with the value aspect of it. So try to follow me on this. But yes, I think that it is probably best served that the Chicago Bulls hold on to Zach LaVine because quite frankly, they would mess up the deal. Because if they were to trade Zach LaVine right now, and if these reports are correct around Zach LaVine, it's saying the Chicago Bulls would have to attach assets to move him, which you do not want to do. All right. And I don't want to see that happen as a Chicago Bulls fan, because if you're attaching assets to Zach LaVine, you are giving up your future of the team to move on from a player that more than likely at some point you'll be able to move off of, or you'll just have to eat the contract, but you do not have to dig yourself a deeper hole. And I don't trust that our front office is going to be able to make a deal that will help the Chicago Bulls with the bottom line on the salary, or I don't think that they're going to get a player back that really necessarily fits into our long term. And so I don't even think the Chicago Bulls front office could even make a deal simple as going ahead, picking up the phone and calling the Brooklyn Nets and saying, hey, would you be interested in taking Zach LaVine, in which you can go ahead, you can either keep him for your rebuild or go ahead and ship him off for more assets because they're trying to rebuild their team up anyway. We would get a player like Ben Simmons. And you would say, okay, why does that make sense? Not that the Chicago Bulls would be using Ben Simmons, and not saying that he is going to become the player that he once was, even though I do wish him well, and I hope that he does eventually return to somewhat of a level that he was playing at when he was with the Sixers. But it makes sense for the Bulls because we would net back $2.6 million on our cap, and we would only have to deal with paying him for 1 year at $40 million versus having to pay Zach LaVine for $129. And so it's deals like that I don't think the Chicago Bulls front office would really be thinking about or looking to actively pursue. Another deal that you saw out there was with the Andrew Wiggins deal, right? And why you would take Andrew Wiggins. This is another reason why the Chicago Bulls should probably keep Zach LaVine, because more than likely, yes, we would net something with Andrew Wiggins, and not saying that we net anything as a player from Andrew Wiggins. I'm not sure that he's going to fit the long term for us. If you look at the bottom line, what you're gaining out of that is, he's close to like $84 million for 3 years, and I think Zach LaVine is close to like $129 or something like that. So if you had to eat that contract with Andrew Wiggins, essentially your bottom line is you're saving $53 million at the end of that deal. You're also going to get some salary back on your immediate books as well. Now, the problem is you're going to have to take back some pieces that don't necessarily fit with you. So a lot of people were talking in the comments like, why would we want to take Jared Vanderbilt, or why would we want to take a player like Gabe Vincent? It's not that we want to take those players. It's just to move Zach LaVine, you would be able to maybe get a player that would work for you or not work for you it eventually helps your salary, but you would get maybe locked into some players where, yes, you'll have them for a shorter amount of time, but they could have injury history issues, kind of like a Jared Vanderbilt. And so you don't want to go down that line. And that's why I think the Bulls are best served by holding on to Zach LaVine right now because of the value and then also to the front office. Lastly, when it comes down to the relationship standpoint, I'm not sure that the Chicago Bulls are going to be able to work out something where, Zach LaVine is going to necessarily recoup this trade value. I think that, yes, it does help him to be on the court, but by being on the court, that's one of the things that's scary for the Chicago Bulls. In fact, in this very article, it says that one of the things that they're worried about is his injury history, which is scary. We've already gone over the whole salary situation. And then also, too, not talking about the fact that his team success hasn't been good. But if you bring him back, you're trusting that he's going to be healthy. And I have to ask myself then, how much do teams need to see in order for them to trade for him? Like, I would think that when you're doing this and you're just trying to increase the trade value by him playing, I think that you're probably going to see teams that are going to wait maybe even longer than this year to go out there and get Zach LaVine. I think that we could be looking at a situation where it might take us until maybe the last year of his deal to move Zach LaVine. And so I think that this is another reason why it is best served for the Chicago Bulls not to go ahead and just react then, because you might actually get more out of the deal if you wait. Because look, if he comes down to his last year of the deal, you have a team that still feels like they can compete. He's only going to be 31, 32, somewhere in that frame of age when he goes to be moved. He's still young enough to go ahead and help a team for the next 3-4 seasons, and that might be what they need to get over the hump. And you're hoping that from a relationship standpoint, he's not only been healthy, but he's shown that he can take a different role with this team and still help this team be successful and not be in the way. And so I think that Zach LaVine ultimately is going to have to be on the court. He's also going to have to really go through what Carmelo Anthony went through in his last years in New York, and then also too with his last years in OKC, where he's going to have to take a diminished usage rates, and also too that means the minutes are going to come down in order for younger players that are going to be with the Chicago Bulls to go ahead and be with us and play long term. So anyway, let me know in the comments. No, I've rambled on here. Do you think that it is best served for the Chicago Bulls to go ahead and keep Zach LaVine, or should they go ahead and trade him by any means necessary? You don't care what's out there. You don't care about this article. You are willing to attach assets to move Zach LaVine over. Let me know in the comments what you think. I just want to thank everybody for going ahead and liking, subscribing. Appreciate you guys hitting the subscribe button, and let you know that 65.8% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed. So please make sure you do so as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. And to my Chicago Bears fans out there, it's Victory Monday for you. So no pressure on Modest Buzelis as a rookie coming to the Chicago Bulls who need wins. Even though we need to figure out what we want to do with Zach LaVine, I'm saying go Bulls, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.